Welcome to Nightmares and Grief, a place to explore and celebrate the darkness. Each episode, I'll read stories written by me, Derek Heisey. So settle in, check under the bed, and pour a drink for the skeletons in your closet. It's time to start. With a crusty gray rag, the tinker wiped as much grease off of his hands as he could before he ashed his cigarette. He grinned at the mechanical boy sitting on his workbench and leaned in closer to inspect his handiwork. The thin, naked chassis exposed whirring servos and rough gears. The boy's wires were kinked or stripped in places, mended with vinyl tape. The tinker had cannibalized them from other failures. He had hopes for the boy. If this one worked, he could probably hawk it to some street performer and pay rent for the next couple of months. The cigarette crackled as the tinker took a long, satisfying drag and nodded his head. Good, good. Everything appeared to be in order. With a grunt and great effort, he hoisted the boy off the workbench and placed him on the ground. The legs were weak, and the boy was top-heavy because of the metal barrel inside his torso. The tinker cussed and shoved the nub of his cigarette between his lips. He flung his hands out to grab the frame on either side just as the knees buckled. The project had probably been a waste of precious time. He shook his head and glared into the shiny plastic eyes, catching a ghost of his reflection in the dark pupils. Red, wrinkled face, wild, straw-dry hair, bloodshot eyes. The knee joints clacked when the tinker smacked them back into place. Letting go, but keeping his hands close, the tinker expected the mechanical boy to collapse like a newborn lamb under the weight of the steel barrel. It was heavy enough that, if the boy fell, one of the parts might get damaged beyond repair, and there was only so much useful junk that he could scavenge from the dump. The tinker held his breath. The boy did not fall. With a surprised scoff, the tinker clapped his hands. He walked around the boy and twisted the crank. Inside the mechanical boy's breast was a rectangular sheet of diamond aluminum shaped like a comb. The tinker had cut the teeth into the metal and then filed them down to various lengths until the sound pleased him. He drilled screws into the metal barrel and placed it in the mechanical boy's gut. As the barrel turned, it plucked the teeth and played a song. The tinker grinned. He'd found the barrel at the dump years ago, and it sat in his pile of scraps until he discovered the aluminum sheet the previous week. Inspiration hit him as he knelt before the toilet, heaving up his dinner of canned beans and whiskey. Now, as he lit another cigarette with the butt of the old one, the tinker decided it had been a good idea after all. The little boy sang a haunting, wordless melody and swayed, arms moving this way and that in a stiff dance. The blank plastic eyes showed no sadness nor joy. Only the comb at his heart felt anything as the pins plucked the teeth and made them vibrate with the tinker's sad song. Then the knees gave out again. The tinker jumped back and cursed in a cloud of foul smoke. With a growl, he sent a boot into the boy's face and broke the plastic eyes. The tinker kicked him again and again, every blow harder than the last. The violence was a concentration of all the loss, shame, and fury of a lifetime. But inside the mechanical boy, the barrel kept turning. The comb kept vibrating, and so he simply sang. Thank you for sharing my nightmares and helping me carry the grief. I want to thank everyone who's left a kind comment on my stories. I don't know how I can adequately express what your encouragement means to me. Thanks for listening and letting me know what you think. If you want to keep in touch, find me at nightmaresandgrief.com or on Instagram at nightmaresandgrief. Thanks again for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.